A man nervously sits in front of a camera, trying to record a message. At first, he introduces himself as Stephen Arthur Younger, an American citizen with demands, but he deletes that attempt and records again, this time introducing himself with a new Islamic name, Yusuf Atta Muhammad. His tone is serious, and it's clear he's preparing something big. Meanwhile, at the FBI's Los Angeles Counterterrorism Unit, Agent Helen Brody leads her team in a meeting. They've been monitoring people on their watch list but haven't found anything suspicious. Helen feels uneasy. She believes there must be a real threat, especially since they need to present results in an upcoming review with headquarters. One of her agents, Phillips, brings up an interesting name from CIA files, Henry Harold Humphreys. His file is highly classified, but his wife, Rena, is a Bosnian Muslim rumored to have been involved in shady activities during the Bosnian War. Helen criticizes Phillips for being too speculative, but admits it's worth looking into. At the Humphreys home, Henry and Rena appear like a normal couple, though very cautious. Rena watches their security cameras closely, suspicious of anyone near their house. On TV, they see breaking news. Yusuf Muhammad is now wanted by the FBI, accused of shooting a police officer and kidnapping 2 children earlier that day. At the FBI office, Helen and her team watch the same news, confused. They'd been monitoring Yusuf, but they hadn't been warned about him being an active threat. Agent DJ Jackson explains Yusuf had served in the army, had no suspicious record, but his files are deeply classified. This raises even more questions. Assistant Director Jack Saunders enters and orders Helen to bring in every single person on their watch list for questioning. Helen says it's impossible. There are too many, but Jack insists the order comes from higher up. Following orders, Helen sends agents to bring in Rena Humphreys, who just appeared on the watch list. At the Humphreys house, Rena spots the agents through her cameras. Suspicious, Henry quickly calls his government contact, Charles Thompson from the Defense Intelligence Agency. Henry is furious, saying his family's location was supposed to remain secret under CIA protection. Charles claims it's a mix-up and tells Helen to withdraw her agents immediately. Henry is dangerous and the FBI shouldn't interfere. But by then, Helen's agents have been captured inside the Humphreys home. When Helen sends backup, agents DJ and Vincent, they find their colleagues tied and gagged. Henry emerges, calm but sharp. He orders Rena to put down her gun, and then agrees to come in for questioning. He mocks the FBI, saying they have no idea what they're dealing with. In fact, Henry Humphreys isn't even his real name. Suddenly, Jack and Charles arrive, halting the interrogation. They explain Henry is a government-protected asset, essentially untouchable. Charles takes Henry away, while Jack tells Helen he needs her cooperation for a classified mission. Reluctantly, she agrees. The next day, Helen and her team are moved to a secret military facility. The man in charge, General Paulson, greets them, joined by Charles. And to Helen's surprise, Henry as well. Henry jokes about being a government contractor now, but Helen is unsettled. They're shown Yusuf's videotape. In it, Yusuf declares he has planted 3 nuclear bombs in 3 major U.S. cities. Unless his demands are met by Friday, they will detonate. At first, some doubt his claims, but Paulson explains Yusuf's background. He was part of Delta IV, a U.S. Army unit specializing in field nuclear weapons. He'd smuggled nuclear material from Russia, supposedly for Iran, but double-crossed everyone, keeping the material and the money. The shocking truth: Yusuf was already captured yesterday and is now being interrogated at this facility. The government just needs him to reveal where the bombs are. The FBI agents watch as military interrogators try brutal methods to break Yusuf. Nothing works. He doesn't even flinch. Henry then claims these tactics are useless. Yusuf, being ex-military, was trained to withstand torture. Despite Paulson forbidding interference, Henry storms into the chamber, attacking the army interrogator. Security drags him out, but Helen sneaks in to talk to Yusuf herself. She tries a softer approach, showing kindness and reason. Yusuf calmly tells her it's too soon to talk, refusing to reveal anything. Later, Henry calls Helen to his room. He explains his theory. Yusuf won't break under pain or fear. He needs a different approach. Soon after, Charles and Paulson arrive, asking Henry to take over the interrogation. Henry agrees, but only under strict conditions. He chooses his assistant and 1 more interrogator to work with him. To Helen's surprise, he chooses her. Paulson resists, but a higher-ranking official overrules him, saying Henry must be allowed to proceed. Inside the chamber, Yusuf is strapped to a chair, head covered. Henry begins. He asks where the bombs are. Yusuf stays silent. Without hesitation, Henry takes an axe and chops off the tip of Yusuf's finger. The watchers, Helen, Paulson, and the FBI team, are horrified. Helen drags Henry out furious, but the higher-up official approves Henry's method. Time is running out, and the bombs are too dangerous to risk. Even Paulson can't hold Henry back anymore. Helen confronts Charles, insisting that torturing Yusuf is illegal. But Charles argues otherwise. He says Yusuf's U.S. citizenship has been revoked, branding him an enemy of the state and a threat to national security. Furious, Helen storms out and complains to Jack that what Henry is doing is unconstitutional. Jack coldly replies that if the bombs detonate, there won't be a constitution left to defend. Helen reluctantly goes back into the interrogation chamber, but can't bear the brutal sight of Yusuf's suffering. She takes a moment in the bathroom to regain her composure. Henry walks in, casually relieving himself, as though nothing is wrong. Once again, Helen voices her opposition to his methods. Instead of arguing, Henry suggests they work together. She'll be the good cop, asking important questions once he's broken Yusuf through pain. Against her instincts, Helen agrees. When she takes her turn questioning Yusuf, she gives him a short break from the torment, but Yusuf, already broken down and accepting of his fate, shows no sign of giving up information. Even when Helen tries appealing to him through his children's safety, he remains calm. He says they have 2 more days to meet his demands. Helen urges him to reveal at least one bomb so the authorities will take him seriously, but Yusuf insists that tomorrow is when they'll listen. He refuses to explain further. Henry returns and the torture continues without rest, day and night. By Thursday, Yusuf's body is battered and bloodied. Henry raises the cruelty further, using electric shocks to jolt him awake and keep him from sleeping. During this time, Henry's wife Rena and their children visit him. He steps out to spend time with them, leaving Helen in charge of Yusuf. While she's there, the shock machine malfunctions and nearly kills Yusuf. The team barely manages to shut it off. Later, Henry casually admits to Helen that he sabotaged the machine himself, not to kill Yusuf, but to give him false hope before snatching it away again. Meanwhile, the FBI digs into leads about Yusuf's family and the missing bombs. A witness report reveals Yusuf had rented a 2-ton truck in Jersey that was never returned. From this, the team suspects the bombs are spread out, one near Los Angeles, another near New York City, and the last somewhere in between. On Thursday, Henry summons Helen back into the chamber. He wants her to massage Yusuf's stiff neck so that the pain from his torture cuts deeper. As Helen reluctantly does this, Henry puts on music and begins talking. He shares personal stories, how he met his wife during the Bosnian War, how he felt at his children's births, and then turns it into an attack, accusing Yusuf of being a bad father. Finally, Yusuf cracks. Yusuf agrees to speak but makes it clear he doesn't want to negotiate privately. He wants to send a message directly to the President of the United States. His demands are political. He wants the U.S. to stop supporting puppet regimes in Islamic countries and to withdraw its military presence from them. The officials are quick to dismiss this, since U.S. policy forbids negotiating with terrorists. But Henry argues that Yusuf isn't asking for concrete action, only a public announcement. Still, the clock is ticking, and by now they have less than 24 hours until detonation. Helen tries bargaining with Yusuf. If he gives up the bombs, she promises he and his family can safely go to Pakistan. But Yusuf refuses. To him, freedom is a false god. He says that if his demands aren't met, the bombs will go off no matter what. Meanwhile, investigators review security footage from the mall where Yusuf was first arrested. In the video, he stands around for nearly half an hour, as if waiting to be caught. Paulson begins to suspect that the bombs are fake. Helen confronts Yusuf about this possibility. Under pressure, Yusuf breaks down and admits that the bombs are only shells with no nuclear material. He gives her an address to prove it. Helen joins the team as they rush to the site. On the roof, they find a suspicious photo of Yusuf taped to an electrical switch. When a soldier pulls it free, a massive C4 explosion rips through a nearby mall, visible from the rooftop. Furious and shaken by the innocent lives lost, Helen confronts Yusuf again, but Yusuf is unmoved. He reminds her that the U.S. military kills just as many people in Islamic countries every single day. Friday arrives, the supposed day of detonation. Investigators discover a parking ticket from Dallas tied to Yusuf. They track it to a warehouse and find one of the bombs inside. This one is real, armed, and set to explode within 3 hours. Time is running out. Henry, nearly broken himself, admits that Yusuf won't yield under torture. Still, he returns to the chamber. The FBI, meanwhile, locates Yusuf's wife, Jahan. She refuses to talk unless she can see her children. Instead of honoring this, Henry decides to use her to manipulate Yusuf. Jahan is brought into the chamber, begging Yusuf to cooperate. When that fails, Henry escalates. To Helen and the team's horror, he slits Jahan's throat in front of Yusuf. With Jahan dead, the pressure intensifies. Evacuations begin for government officials and their families. Henry insists Yusuf must know more. Even Helen, shaken by the looming threat, urges Henry to do whatever it takes. As a final measure, Henry suggests using Yusuf's children. He promises not to harm them but wants to use the threat as leverage. Yusuf resists at first, but when his children's safety is questioned, he finally reveals the bomb's locations: Los Angeles, New York, and Dallas. Still, Henry doesn't believe that's the full truth. He argues that the nuclear material Yusuf acquired exceeds what's needed for 3 bombs, meaning there must be a 4th. Yusuf denies it, but Henry presses harder. The officials back Henry, signaling that even the children can be used to uncover the truth. Henry tries to force Helen into bringing the children into the chamber, wanting her moral approval. Helen refuses outright. Instead, Henry unlocks Yusuf's restraints. A gun is drawn and chaos erupts. Yusuf seizes the weapon, but rather than fight, he turns it on himself. Before pulling the trigger, he asks Helen to take care of his children. Yusuf kills himself, leaving everyone stunned. After the chaos, Helen walks out of the facility holding Yusuf's children by the hand. Teams manage to locate and disarm the 3 bombs just in time. But Henry's grim suspicion proves correct. A 4th bomb, hidden and unknown to the team, detonates. And I would highly appreciate if you detonated the like button of this video. Check out the other recaps on the right and subscribe for future uploads. As always, grab your popcorn, enjoy yourself, and see you soon, my friend.